When you hear Maryland, you probably think of this Maryland, the seventh state admitted to the Union on the east coast of the USA, and not the Republic of Maryland, a short-lived country in West Africa. At the end of the 18th century and the beginning of the 19th century, there was a movement in the United States and Britain that sought to send freed slaves from North America back to newly established colonies in West Africa. This movement of freed slaves from Western powers back to Africa is a well-known part of the history of two existing West African countries, Sierra Leone and Liberia. However, something that is not well known is that a third country in West Africa was founded, albeit for a brief period, as a result of this resettlement called the Republic of Maryland. If you haven't heard of the Republic of Maryland, don't worry, because the country no longer exists, as it was only technically a republic for 3 years between 1854 and 1857. So what is the story behind the Republic of Maryland? How did it come into existence? And crucially, why does it no longer exist? The origins of the Republic of Maryland are closely entwined with the origins of Liberia. In 1816, the American Colonization Society, a state-sponsored group, was established with the mission of sending freed slaves from the United States to Africa. Starting in the early 1820s, this process began with freed slaves beginning to settle on the area of land that corresponds to modern-day Liberia. Initially, a number of individual state-sponsored colonies were set up on this coastline, named after states in the USA. For example, Mississippi in Africa, Kentucky in Africa, and of course, Maryland in Africa. The foundation of the Maryland colony was initiated by the Maryland State Colonization Society, who were a branch of the American Colonization Society. They wanted a settlement in West Africa to accommodate immigrants from Maryland state specifically, and to have firm control over trade between the state and its new colony. In December 1831, the Maryland state legislature in the United States apportioned $10,000 per year to the mission, with the goal of transporting 10,000 free African Americans to the new colony of Maryland in Africa. It has to be noted, however, that take-up of this offer was poor, with the goal of 10,000 not being achieved. Saw the United States as their home and wanted to focus on the bettering of their lives there instead of risking the dangerous journey to a new colony. In fact, only around 1,100 made the journey. Frederick Douglass's words clearly encapsulate the general sentiment that caused so many African Americans from across the United States to reject relocation to Africa. "We live here, have lived here, have a right to live here, and mean to live here." Nevertheless, some African Americans did indeed take the journey to Maryland in Africa, which was situated at Cape Palmas in the south of Liberia, near the modern-day border with Côte d'Ivoire, with the main settlement being Harper. The key moment where Maryland really splits from the other American-backed colonies and becomes a distinct entity is in 1838, where the other settlements reorganised to form one separate entity, the Commonwealth of Liberia, which would eventually go on to declare its independence in 1847. The Maryland State Colonization Society chose not to join Liberia because it wished to maintain its trade monopoly in the area. In the following years, Maryland would slowly move from being a private colony to a fully fledged independent republic. This would culminate in a referendum eventually taking place in 1853, with the population of Maryland unanimously choosing independence from the Maryland Colonization Society, with independence being declared on May 29, 1854, giving birth to the Republic of Maryland. So where did it go wrong? Why did this newly fledged nation of freed slaves only last for 3 years? The basic answer is security. The fledgling country would face attacks from local tribes in the area and did not have the ability to defend themselves, causing them to have to turn to their more powerful neighbour in the north and form an alliance which would eventually enable them to fend off the attacks. The people of Maryland accepted that it would be impossible to survive alone as an independent state, and subsequently, after another referendum, Maryland was annexed by Liberia on April 6, 1857. Becoming known as Maryland County, which still exists as a county of Liberia to this day. The story of Maryland in Liberia is an example of one of the shortest existing countries in African history, and an example of tensions that existed between returning freed slave communities and local tribes, and reflects an extremely interesting but complex period of West African history. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe.